When I was called to Birla House by an urgent telephone, that means the narrator got a telephone call, and the information was Gandhiji had been shot on his way to prayer house. I was numb with shock as I got into the car. That means the narrator became senseless with shock as she got into the car. At the Birla house, Gandhiji's relatives and followers had gathered round his body. That means so many relatives and followers went to the Birla house. There was silence in the room as Gandhiji's breath is last. Words of Bapuji's death has spread through Delhi like a flame fanned by wind. Sad group of men and women had collected round Birla house. Sad group of men and women had collected round Birla house to see Gandhiji. Out of every window one could see a brown blur of faces. They did not make a sound. There was an unnatural silence. Means there was a unnatural silence. Means there was so many people were there, but without making any noise. It was as if time stood still for those few minutes. For those few minutes, the time stood still. The people were too stunned to speak in the beginning. That means stunned also means numb. The people were too numb to speak in the beginning. Later they clamored widely, shouting and crying. Clamored means you can see here in the word nest. Demanding loudly. That means later they demanding loudly and shouting and crying. They jostle one another in a stampede to break into the house. That means now the people are jostling one another, and stampede you can say panic rush to break into the house. That means to enter the house, that Birla house. They calm a little when it was announced that they would be allowed to see Gandhiji before the funeral. That means before the funeral ceremony, all will get a chance to see Gandhiji. When one is faced with the shock of loved one's death, one whimpers. Again, whimpers means, see here, make low crying noises. So, people are whimpering. What will become of me now that he has left me? Like this, all are thinking. This was surely the question uppermost in the mind of mourning people. They look like lost children. They look like lost children. Underline this line. It was the question in many of our hearts as we sat, still shocked and unbelieving, because the news was very shocking. We listened to the broadcast telling the people of India that their Bapu was no more. That means with the help of news agent, people are getting the news that Bapu was no more. So this is unit 1. After this, you write in your English copy word nest, 3-word meaning. Then come to tick the correct answer. Gandhiji has been shot on his way to a prayer meeting. Number 3. The author came to know of Gandhiji's death by a telephone call. When one is faced with the shock of a loved one's death, one whimpers. Number 1. Now do number 2. Fill in the chat with information from the text. Date on which Gandhiji was shot dead, you will write 30th January 1948. Place where Gandhiji breathed his last, write Birla House. Information given by the broadcast, Bapu was no more.